I've been talking to a lot of CEOs, CROs, and others as part of talking to them about this entire whole AI adoption. It has been moved from, hey, what's our AI pilot, to what is the value that AI has been created with a real outcome, or where exactly the AI is actually adding the value in the current quarter, and what is the value aimed for, let's say, the subsequent quarters. So the conversation moved from doing experiments to show me the value, because a lot of organization has been investing heavily both on the hardware, software, and even in the people training. The focus was shifted on to more like a value and how quickly those values are getting generated.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Data Cloud Now. I'm currently on the show floor at the Java Center at Snowflake World Tour NYC, where I'm now delighted to be joined by Naveen Porumamilla, VP Executive Client Partner at Publicis Sapient. Naveen, such a pleasure to sit down with you.
Thanks for having me here.
Really looking forward to diving in. For years, digital transformation has been a key theme in the boardroom. Now AI has become the absolute centerpiece of that transformation. As a partner to businesses in the brave pursuit of the art of the possible, how are you seeing the shift change the very nature of what it means to be a digital business?
Sure. Let me to start with how do we help businesses to transform into what we call as AI first enterprises.
That'd be great.
Okay. With that, we bring in speed as our approach, and we also embed into our AI platforms what we call as Slingshot and Bodhi to make the transformations as a measurable outcomes, as not as a one-off experiments. I've been talking to a lot of CEOs, CROs, and others as part of talking to them about this entire whole AI adoption. It has been moved from, hey, what's our AI pilot, to what is the value that AI has been created with a real outcome, or where exactly the AI is actually adding the value in the current quarter, and what is the value aimed for, let's say, the subsequent quarters. So the conversation moved from doing experiments to show me the value, because a lot of organization has been investing heavily both on the hardware, software, and even in the people training. The focus was shifted on to more like a value and how quickly those values are getting generated. So that's where if you consider digital business of today, you can call it like AI as an operating system, and runs on governed data as a foundation, and the smarter operations, if you see it as a center, and personalization at what we call as a peripheral or the edge. So our job is basically to sort of bring all of this together. And how do we sort of bring this where we apply the speed is that speed stands for strategy, product, engineering, data, and AI. So we align strategy with value pools, where the values get generated, and we shape the product and experience around the customers and the employees, and we use engineering for industrialization, data and AI for insights, intelligence, competitive edge, measurable, and differentiating. Okay, that's how we are calling as the modern day AI digital transformation, which is quite different before AI era.
Great perspective and overview. Thank you so much for that, Naveen. And taking that one step further, that shift presents a significant challenge. It's no longer just a technology product. It impacts everything from customer experience to product engineering. Now I want to dive into your director approach. How does your integrated speed approach combine strategy, product, and data, helping leaders manage this complexity and ensure their AI investments are truly transforming the business, not just creating silos of information?
Of course, strategy is trying to set a where AI can create value. One of the CEO just I spoke to 1 hour before coming to this meeting is telling me that when the conversation started with AI and everybody wanted to talk about AI so that nobody wanted to left out, first thing he said was, don't AI whitewash the conversation.
Right.
So obviously there are places AI can add a tremendous value, and there are places people get confused with ML to AI, AI to Gen AI,
Right.
and Gen AI to a different type of technology. So there are clear areas of where AI can add the value. So the strategy defines what are the value pools, product and the experience designs what are those outcomes for my customer, my employee, and what are those results in terms of a clear KPIs. And engineering is all about industrialization. In the era of the AI, there's a new way of industrialization. It's not anymore writing the codes of the lines of the code. It is more about, you heard of the word called vibe coding. You want an application, it will be out as an application. So it's more about industrialization, scaling. I'm not doing an AI on my laptop. I'm doing an AI to be used by millions of the people. So there is a scaling aspect is there. And then with that comes the responsible AI. So that's where we use the data and AI as a step where what is the data that differentiates you? What is the data that's creating intelligence for you? and how the AI can scale and personalize that particular aspect of it to give that measurable outcomes and the competitive edge. Because a lot of the same AI foundations are available for almost every customer. If I talk to the three QSR industry or three hoteliers, everybody says, okay, either I'm on the GCP or on Azure or on this one, or I have Snowflake as a platform, as a government fund. How do they differentiate the creation of the differentiation? So that's where we focus when we come into the data and AI. What is the data that is making you different? What is the data that you have that others don't have, make you the difference? And how do we can harness the data and monitor the data and create that AI competitive advantage for you? And bringing all this together is a good, for example, take an AI chatbot and a pricing engine that influencing your pricing and a supply chain optimization that comes in the back end, not three different initiatives, but all of them how are running in parallel with this speed strategy so that it is giving even a consistent outcome for the value I'm like putting it. So that is where it's more about thinking from all these five lenses and bringing all this together in actually adding that value to customer and employees and creating that values of important
Very much that holistic approach.
holistic approach.
And let's dive into the technical a little bit, shall we? How is the AI Data Cloud's easy, connected, and trusted platform serving to harness that innovation you just spoke of?
Of course, take for example, the Snowflake AI cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. It starts with governance. Okay. And the Snowflake as such, it helps us in terms of starting with a easy to use, connect all the data sources
Right.
together. And basically, it's sort of available in all places because there is a marketplace, there is a collaboration and whatnot, all of that. So what's it for our customers or maybe to us in that particular scenario is that, hey, there's a single data foundation that starts with the governance and provides me all the data in one place so that my time spent on stitching together multiple tools or multiple data sources is completely reduced. Okay. Then there is a secure and collaborative marketplace which I can use as many of accelerators that are possible. Then coming into the sort of the overall governance piece of it together, where I can use the lineage, policies, and everything. So in short term, basically no, all these are available in a single place. And with AI that US launched with the Cortex, Arctic, and other stuff, there's a place where my data science team, my engineering team, and my operations team, everybody works together on a single backbone, such a way that okay, I'm making these outcomes much faster and much in a speedier way to the market is what we are able to do it. So that the AI backbone is sort of helping in reducing the time, getting the quality, and in sort of accelerating that value very faster.
Very well said. Now, looking ahead, the pace of change is only accelerating. As you help clients prepare for what's next, what are the emerging AI-driven opportunities you're most excited about, and how is your partnership with Snowflake positioned to help businesses seize them?
I see as three areas. One is AI-led modernization, where we can use AI as an approach to sort of migrate the legacy workloads into the Snowflake. Just as an example, okay, one of the clients I told I come out of the meeting, we're actually doing a project where we are migrating 6 of their data warehouses into the data lake using completely an AI-based approach. And the aim is to sort of reduce the time to market by 70%
Wow.
and actual effort by 50%. Because there are things that AI can do, but our approach actually have human in the loop by design from validation perspective and other aspects. That's why we are aiming at 50% of in the reduction in the effort, but the goal was now even if we can move to 70 or 80% type of thing. So that's one area I'm seeing across the board, across my clients and customers, where they want to move away from modern, legacy place where they have to stitch multiple data sources together, come into one place. That is one. The second one is basically I'm seeing it as called as a agentic AI-based operations. Like I have an agent for governance and I have an agent for sort of doing my observability, where my observable data pipelines then self-heal. And I have an agent for sort of measurement and intelligence gathering, all of that. So there's a lot of agentic AI type of an approach for replicating some mundane work or maybe monotonous work, that is what we can call it as, sort of bring it together. That is the second area where we are seeing a lot of traction and a lot of from the clients. The third one is more around where I'm calling a AI-based sort of a workflow orchestrations and whatnot, because every client is going to be multiple vendors or multiple platform type of stuff. So how do that entire orchestration and everything comes together? So these are the three different areas that we are sort of looking at in terms of AI for native apps also. For example, there's a lot of data available in my foundation today, but my application was built somewhere else. And then because of that, I have to do all this orchestration. So think for a while that if I can build my native apps on top of the same grounded data on AI in the single place, which is that you guys are focusing on, like AI native apps, which will help a lot of this orchestration process easy. So we can go back to our customers and say that, hey, you don't need a Mammoth project for this one. You can easily do it because you are building native AI native apps on top of the foundation of the data, and we can orchestrate using the strategy and everything that we talked about together and bring all of this together in a very short time. And basically, the focus is on accelerating the outcomes
Right.
with a very efficient time, effort, and for that.
Win-win across the board, Naveen. As you look out, what's your primary focus and why?
So our primary focus is, in simple words, is that accelerating the outcomes, okay, with efficiency and with a responsible AI. The last piece is something a lot of them miss out, and that is what carrying a lot of, even within the clients internally, giving some sort of a sensitivity in terms of, hey, what happens when this happens through AI. Okay,
Right.
so we focus on accelerating outcomes with efficiency, with responsible AI. That's what our focus. So all the customers that I spoke around, that fall into 3 maturity levels. The first maturity level, I call them as people doing the experimentation, like pilots, MVPs, whatnot. We want them actually to accelerate from experimentation to production. That is our first goal. There are a second set of customers where they have done a bit of experimentation, have 1 or 2 use cases in the production. Our focus right now with them is that, hey, how do we can actually build the enterprise context, knowledge graph across the business, such a way that you are not building the siloed empires within your organization, so that you are building on the single context, so that everything can be sort of like, the outcome is sort of interconnected type of a stuff, so that is on a siloed type of thing. So that's what our second focus is. The third focus is basically a bit of advanced customers where they have done experimentation and they have built some sort of a context graph type of stuff. There, what we're trying to do is how do we can accelerate the outcomes. This entire AI is not about I know the AI or actually we implemented AI. It's more about what is the value that created that was not there yesterday. What is the net new value that got it? So our third focus is more on how do we can accelerate those outcomes with, again, goes back to like time to market and efficiency. Both of them bring together, and the competitive edge. The competitive edge comes from the context graph, like the business, the knowledge that only that client owns, the data that only that client owns. So how do we actually harness that, all of that, and accelerate those outcomes is our third focus.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. Such a pleasure sitting down with you.
Thank
you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me here once again.
And for the audience watching, I'm Ryan Green. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you soon.